Now available on Tata Sky channel number 526.
Hello and welcome to the property news. You're watching Magic Bricks Now, India's first property channel. I'm Suesha Sound. Let's take a look at the top headlines at this hour. In Mumbai, massive protests break out for clean air. Citizens take to the streets in face masks and black clothes, allege that BMC is making empty promises. Will the Deonar crisis see no end? Mumbaikars can definitely look forward to a faster, smoother commute. The Mumbai Metropolitan Region Development Authority, or the MMRDA, has announced a 6,600 crore budget. The Trans Harbour Link and Metro Rail get the biggest slice of the pie. Cheer for Chennaiites. Latest property index by magicbricks.com shows Chennai as the clear winner. Despite floods, the pole-bound city emerges as the next promising market with property price rise and high rental yields. Also on the show, acute water crisis hits maximum city Mumbai. Magic Bricks Now gets you a lowdown on how bad the summers could get for you this year. Deonar residents took their fight for clean air to BMC's doorstep today. Wearing black face masks, residents gathered at Mumbai's Azad Maidan to protest against what they call BMC's hollow promises. My colleague Aishwarya Pariwal, who has been following the story, was present at the protest. She sent us this report earlier today.
Two massive fires in Deonar's dumping ground in less than 2 months. All those things have led to a very poor quality of air for the whole of Mumbai, not just for the residents of Chembur and Wadala, who have been massively protesting against this fire. Now, yesterday, even after BMC Chief Ajoy Mehta held a press conference saying that they have taken strict measures so that fire does not take place again, there was a fire, very massive one, in the night. Now, these citizens, these residents are out here protesting. They are saying they need immediate actions. They want the Chief Minister to sit up and take notice as to the havoc that this massive fire has been causing for the past almost 2 months. Hazardous levels of AQI, that is more than 200, which is extremely dangerous for old citizens and very young children, and especially with people who have diseases like lung diseases and who have heart problems. Overall, they are saying that they want authorities to sit up and take notice, as they have been protesting against this for quite some time. A lot of promises have been made, but nothing has been done on ground as of now.
Now, Aishwarya also caught up with a few residents at the protest. Listen into what they had to say about this crisis.
Don't start pushing it around saying that BJP ne kya kiya, Congress ne kiya. We don't care about who did what, who was in power, who was not in power, who has authority, who doesn't have authority. Right now you are breathing the same air that I am breathing. The Chief Minister's air is not different, and he needs to read the High Court judgment, which is like 43 pages of straight talk from the justice.
We as citizens, we end up paying our taxes even before the salary comes in our hand. And what do we get? We don't get anything. Our children are breathing rotten air. We are breathing rotten air. They cannot play outside. They cannot go anywhere. I mean, what are we living? What kind of a life are we living?
From yesterday's episode, it is clear that fire engines are not enough. So even now, if they add 100 or whatever that number is, or 50 or whatever, we don't know whether they are going to be there. We are really concerned about the rest of Mumbai also. Are all the fire engines going to go there? Do you really have the disaster recovery procedures in place?
We have been suffering every now and then we have been talking about it. We get promises, but I don't know where exactly that hitch, where exactly everything is stopping and not getting translated into actions.
Meanwhile, fed up with BMC's mishandling of Mumbai's garbage problem, citizens have stepped in. A group of citizens have presented BMC Commissioner Ajoy Mehta with a list of suggestions to deal with waste disposal. Magic Bricks now learns that the Commissioner has accepted all the suggestions. My colleague Disha Shah got exclusive access to this draft sent in by the citizens. Listen in.
citizens have come together and has approached BMC Municipal Commissioner Ajay Mehta demanding an action plan for garbage crisis and also to ensure that there are no more Deonas in the city of Mumbai. It was on 17th of March this year when citizens had sent a letter to the Commissioner putting forth suggestions to deal with waste disposal in the city. On the priority, they have suggested that the waste segregation should be done at source, which means that each household in the city segregates their own waste. Secondly, the waste that is generated and dumped daily in dumping grounds should be processed scientifically, which can also be used to generate electricity. Thirdly, the civic body should also give enough space in the city of Mumbai to dispose e-waste, that is electronic appliances. Fourthly, BMC should also give enough space to housing societies so that they can compose dry waste. And lastly, to monitor the action plan and also to oversee and to ensure that all these suggestions are incorporated in the action plan. Citizens have also suggested to appoint an additional municipal commissioner who will exclusively look only into solid waste management. And lastly, they have also suggested that the action plan should be finalized and put in public domain by 31st of May this year. When we spoke to BMC officials, they say that they have accepted all these suggestions given by citizens, and they have also started working on the action plan for solid waste management, and their aim is also to complete the action plan by 31st of May this year.
Now, Mumbai's woes do not stop at air pollution. The maximum city is fast running out of water for its citizens. My colleague Disha Shah found that the city only has 4 months of water in stock.
Mumbai has only 4 months of water left in stock thanks to the extremely poor rains last year, owing to which Mumbai's civic body, BMC, is currently supplying only 320 million litres of water every day as against the demand, which is 480 million litres per day. Moreover, out of the 7 lakes that supply water to the entire city, 2 lakes, for instance, Bhatsa Lake has only 3 months of water left in stock, whereas Vaitanya Lake has only 4 months of water available. However, the whole city faces the water shortage problem, but the situation is extremely grim when we talk about certain pockets in the city. For instance, in western suburbs like Borivali and Kandivali, citizens face close to 30% of water cut every week, and in central suburbs like Vikhroli and Bhandop, citizens at least face water cut twice a week. When we spoke to BMC officials in the water department as to what are the short-term solutions they are providing on ground to ensure that there is enough water at least till summer, the civic body tells that it has stopped supplying water to bottling plants and municipal swimming pools. Secondly, the BMC is also considering utilizing water from open wells for household purposes. Thirdly, the civic body is also in talks with the state irrigation department asking for 50% more water for the city. And lastly, this could be a huge relief or some relief for the Mumbaikars out there, because the civic body has also said that it won't impose any further water cuts in the city. But at the end, what the civic body is hoping for is adequate and timely rains, at least this year.
Just outside Mumbai, the city of Lakes Thane too is looking at a dry summer. The Thane Municipal Commissioner had earlier said on Magic Bricks Now that the city is facing a water management crisis. Disha Shah got asked the details on how grim the situation is in Thane. Listen in.
The city of Lakes Thane 2 has only 4 months of water available in this stock. However, the water shortage problem has kept citizens quite agitated in the city because they have to face water cut at least twice in a week, because Thane Municipal Corporation has been able to provide water only 320 million litres of water every day as against the demand, which is 480 million litres of water every day. More so ever, Pokhran Road and Gorband on the road are the worst affected areas where citizens face at least 30% water cut every week. When we spoke to Thane Municipal Corporation, they tell us that for short-term solutions, they are looking at rejuvenating the existing bore wells and wells in the city. They are also looking to construct and make more bore wells in the city. And lastly, they are also planning to improve the water management system, which the corporation is currently lagging behind. So lastly, they also tell us that they only hope for adequate rains and timely rains this year to make up for the water shortage problem that the city is facing currently.
Now, faster, smoother mass transport is the promise held out by MMRDA's budget this year. The development body's outlay for this financial year is a whopping 74% higher than last year. Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis has approved a total budget outlay of 6,647 crore rupees. A lion's share will be spent on the metro projects and the Mumbai Trans-Harbour link. Rupees 2,151 crores will be spent on metro lines 2, 3 and 7. The authority has also allocated rupees 1,000 crore for the state government's much-delayed showpiece, Mumbai Trans-Harbour link from Sivri to Nhava Sheva. This 22-kilometer Trans-Harbour bridge will link the island city with the upcoming Navi Mumbai International Airport. The Chief Minister has also set a 2019 deadline for the completion of all these projects. The National Real Estate Development Council got together in Mumbai last week to decode the regulator in real estate, discuss the new changes and how this could translate into more accountability and transparency in the property market. Our editor, Faye D'Souza, was a part of this elite roundtable. Listen in to an excerpt of what was discussed.
There's a risk up till now that I took on as a consumer when I booked a home, whether that was launch or pre-launch. When I went and booked and parted with my money, the risk that it might not finally see possession date is a risk that I took on as a customer. Now with this very, very comprehensive regulation, that risk gets passed on to the developer. As a customer, I'm taking on very little risk. Is there a cost involved that you believe will now also be passed on to the customer because the risk has been moved off? Do you believe that in the next 1 or 2 years of settling in, it will take a year or two to settle in, we might actually see prices go up a little bit because developers will be tempted to pass on that 5-year warranty cost, to pass on the escrow cost to the customer?
I'm personally of the view that there is so much level playing field which has been created with the economic changes that we are seeing. Today we are in a buyer's market already. It looks like in the coming months and maybe coming days that it is not going to be a seller's market what used to be here 5 or 10 years ago. As a result of which I believe that rationalization of the cost will always be there. And if you buy a air condition with a 5-year warranty, you know that there is going to be some cost added to it. So the same way here it will be marginal. It will not be that the builder will be able to push some additional imaginary cost into it. To my mind, this particular law has given so much teeth to the consumer that somewhere down the line, black sheep are on both sides. It is not so that it is only the builders who are probably indulging into something which can be called as a malpractice. There are at times, and in a large projects, the people who join initially the project, they become greedy, and at the end of the day, when the project goes into second and the third phase, they become a little funny, and then they start looking up the new law and the provisions. That will be the cost which the new coming consumer will have to bear for the delay, for the litigation, for the kind of enforcement of this law, which may generate. Now, a law can't take care of every possibility, so we'll have to bear with it. We'll have to see how it grows.
Even if you're only speaking of the NCR market, is there an intention in the community, in the developer community, to increase margins, to perhaps bully customers into getting into deals that might not be on their side?
See, plenty of it. In the name of, this, do you see the cost, they will only mention the basic cost in every advertisement. After that, the moment you go on to sign the agreement, there is face-off cost, samne wala cost, piche wala cost, aage wala cost. So many costs are added on.
Niranjan Hiranandani, respond to that. The evidence of malice within the community. And now you have 2 customers here. We're both customers. And I'm asking you because he said very large builders who bully customers.
Well, it's very simple answer. Like you have beautiful women and you have ugly women. So you have good builders and you have bad builders. And certainly we wouldn't like to color the good, bad and ugly with one color. But actually...
do you think the bill does that?
Sorry?
Not differentiate between good and bad?
No, I think this is a level playing field as far as the law is concerned. That's why I said first, on the transparency issue, which was imperative, I think it's a level playing field. So I think whether you're a big builder, small builder, good builder, bad builder, or whatever it is, or ugly, you have to mandate it. What is worrisome is something different. Actually, what has happened is that the track record of regulations in terms of controls, and we decontrolled in 1991, and we said we want to de-license industry, we want to de-license because regulation actually caused corruption. And this is actually prevalent even today in the real estate field when we come to getting approvals. So the fear is not about transparency or regulations in the regular sense of the term. And I think if there are bad builders, as Mr. Balla has clearly pointed out, and there are, and we have to accept that, I don't see any problem if they are going to be hanged. There's nothing wrong with that. But if tomorrow it is misused or abused, as has happened in the case of urban land ceiling, the same parliament which said 1976 was great law, itself said that it has caused corruption beyond imagination. It's a law which actually did not meet the ends of the people. But you really need all the regulations. So that's a fear, that if the regulation is going to be misused or abused by the regulator in direct or indirect sense, and there is corruption which starts, which you know you have talked about in your program, if that gets actionated by this, that is dangerous. But as far as the level playing field of the law, I think it's very equitous and it should be.
All right, moving on to Chennai. You could call it real estate's dark horse, but Chennai's property market has seen prices increase when prices in the rest of the cities have stayed stagnant, according to the prop index released by magicbricks.com. My colleague Ruchi Deshpande joins us with more details. Now, Ruchi, tell us about the rise of the Chennai market.
A 3% rise in property prices compared to any other city in the country is what Chennai has seen in the period from October 2015 to December 2015, and this is according to a report by Prop Index. Now, the interesting fact to note here is that this price rise happened despite the devastating floods that took place in Chennai last year in December 2015. And another plus that Chennai's property market has seen is the fact that rental yields were up by almost 3.5%. Over the year. Now, just to give you a bit more detail, the segment of the property market that saw an increase in the prices ranges from 5,000 to 9,000 rupees per square foot, whereas the segment which ranges from 3,000 to 5,000 rupees per square foot is where the price rise remain largely stagnant. Another thing to note that the key areas that saw an increase in the prices in the city of Chennai include Porur, Palavakkam. They also include prime real estate areas like Madipakam, Tambaram and Nungambakam. And just to end this, another city that has seen a price increase in the period from October to December last year is Thane.
All right, Ruchi, thank you so much for joining us. Now, to give us more perspective, we have Preetham Mehra of CBRE joining us live on the phone line. Preetham, thank you so much for joining us here on Magic Bricks Now. Firstly, I'd like to ask you, what drives Chennai's property market?
Sorry, can you come again, please?
I'd want to ask you, Preetham, what is it that exactly drives Chennai's property market?
Yeah, essentially, the primary drivers in the city are, the employment that's getting generated. The primary drivers include the IT sector and all the jobs that are getting created for people who are passing out of colleges. That apart, a large part of the investment in the city is happening from people who are from other parts of the state. So people from Coimbatore, Madurai, Trichy, etc. look at Chennai as a very interesting investment opportunity. And there's a lot of migration that's happening in the city because of the IT activity and the ITES industry that's growing in the city. So these are primarily the drivers for the real estate sector.
Right. And in terms of sales, which are the areas which are most in demand right now?
Essentially, look, there are three demand locations. One are locations which are closer to employment nodes. One are locations where the prices are attractive. And one are locations that are closer to connectivity nodes. So if you look at the metro rail connectivity or the suburban rail connectivity, we will see increased interest from buyer segments. So will locations be where the working population will live, which will be primarily OMR and Guindy, and locations which are attractive from a pricing standpoint. So suburban and peripheral locations, those will be attractive. Examples could be GST Road or Perumbakam.
All right, and we'd especially like to understand from you that, after the aftermath of the floods, how is it that Chennai has seen a price rise despite this?
Yeah, essentially the good part of the flooding has primarily been that not too many locations were spared by the floods. So buyers have understood and realized that it's a once in a 100-year phenomenon, and hence it's unlikely to repeat itself. And given that there are a lot of developers who are offering attractive schemes for buyers to come in, the demand seems to have gone back to the pre-flood, days. So given that there are buyers in the market scouting for good opportunities, there is some scope for developers to offer attractive pricing. And that's what is driving the demand in the city.
All right. So, in your opinion, how does Chennai? How do you rate Chennai as a property investment in comparison to other markets, like say Hyderabad?
See, from a volume standpoint, Hyderabad is significantly lower than Chennai. I don't think it's fair to compare two different markets because, like you rightly asked earlier, the drivers are different for each of these markets. So, depending on where the investor is looking to invest, each of these markets have their own merits and demerits. Chennai, for people who are looking at making this their home for the long term and people who are looking at options from other parts of the state, it's a good investment opportunity. Hyderabad, has different drivers and the price points are different, the products are different, and hence it's not fair for us to compare it with Hyderabad.
All right, Preetham, thank you so much once again for joining us here in Magic Bricks Now. Moving on, a terror attack rocked Brussels in Belgium on Wednesday. 2 explosions were reported at the airport and one at a metro station in the city. The shocking attacks left 34 people dead and several others severely injured on last report. Local media reports have called this a suicide attack. All flights from the airport have been suspended and borders of Belgium have been closed for travel. Here's a report from Brussels.
Shell-shocked and relieved to be far from the blast. Brussels International Airport is now a crime scene. 2 explosions tore through the departures hall of Zaventem Airport just after 8 o'clock on Tuesday morning. Belgian police have confirmed several deaths as well as numerous injuries. Witnesses said shots were fired and shouting in Arabic was heard before the blasts. Authorities have confirmed it was a suicide attack. The building was heavily damaged, with ceiling tiles and glass shattering with the explosions.
Did you see or hear the explosion? No, but I walked through a mess, a load of stuff, glass splitters, smoke, water dripping from the ceiling. We had to walk through puddles and we were evacuated. I was just waiting for my suitcase and then somebody said over the loudspeakers, this is an evacuation. We just were taken outside of the place.
Some passengers were led onto the tarmac for fear that other bombs remained inside the terminal. The airport, as well as rail links from Brussels city centre, have been shut down. The metro has also been closed. Located on the outskirts of the Belgian capital, Zaventem Airport is one of Europe's most important business and travel hubs. The city is the de facto capital of the European Union. Not long after the airport attacks, another bomb went off in the city's metro. Multiple and nearly simultaneous attacks that are a signature of the Islamic State group. The attacks come just days after Belgian police seized Saleh Abdeslam, one of the masterminds of the Paris attacks, in a hideout in Brussels. Investigators have uncovered that the Paris attacks were largely planned from Belgium and that terrorist cells have gone unnoticed there for years. Following the blast, national security was raised to a level 4, the highest level in Belgium. Employees at European institutions have been instructed to stay at home, as well as Brussels residents.
With that, it's a wrap on this edition of the Property News. Thank you so much for watching.
You can watch live TV on our website mbnow.in. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/magicbricksnow. And don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at magicbricksnow. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/magicbricksnow.